Hello, and thank you everyone for joining today's webinar of Affinity. My name's Colin Zeeler. I'm a senior account executive. I've been with the company just about 3 years and excited to share with you guys how our relationship intelligence platform drives better accuracy and therefore adoption amongst your team. Before we get into the demonstration today, I just wanted to give everybody a brief background, some context as to who we are. We're a SaaS-based company headquartered in San Francisco, also have an office in Toronto, just over 100 employees strong to date. We've raised $40 million and have so far brought on over 1,700 financial services firms as customers because our platform is designed specifically for those organizations that have long-term, high-touch, strategic relationships that they're trying to manage in an effective and efficient manner. Getting into how our relationship intelligence platform will enable your team to derive more value from their central database of information and ultimately drive higher levels of adoption amongst the team is by tapping into your email and calendar communication streams to eliminate as much manual data entry as possible. This ensures accuracy within the system, which is going to drive more adoption across the team and higher levels of engagement because your end users are able to rely on that information and at the same time helping save them a ton of time and manual effort. By doing this, we'll be able to also accelerate our business development and being able to tap into the collective network of our team, who knows who, but also how well they know each other based on the recency and frequency of interactions. With this compiled centralized database, we'll be able to quickly and easily identify buyers to target for our engagements and various client projects that we're working on, and having one database for us to share across the team. Now, getting into a little bit of the background on how this system actually works is by tapping into your communication streams. We realized that your firm's data doesn't lie in a spreadsheet or some database. It's already in your communication streams, your email and your calendar. All of those interactions are what ultimately form the connections and relationships that comprise your team's network. So by connecting to your email and calendar, our system's able to auto-populate a digital Rolodex of contacts and companies automatically, going back since the inception of your email accounts as well as moving forward. Anyone new that you start to talk to will have a profile created for them and their organization. And the best part is that all of these profiles are being enriched with as much data as we can find about them through our data partners, which are scraping the web and other publicly available sources of data for information. So all that data is then compiled and centralized into one place for your team to access at the tip of their fingers and be able to see that information in the workflows where they're used to operating, whether that's in their web browser or right within their email client. Wanted to share a quick survey that we did with our customers, found that on average, they were spending about a half an hour per day per person manually entering data that could otherwise be automated with Affinity. And a half an hour per day doesn't sound like a lot, but if you add it up over the course of the year, that's 188 hours of time that's being wasted per person on your team. So huge amount of time savings and potential cost savings as well. I mentioned earlier that through our relationship intelligence, we're calculating the strength of these relationships that you're developing every day as well, so that your team can take advantage of those connections while you're in a client pitch, being able to demonstrate the strength of your team's network to that potential or existing client can be really powerful. It's also a way to make sure that your team is always on the same page. Nobody's crossing wires or stepping on each other's toes, and they have the context necessary to show up to their meeting smart. Now, the second half of our demonstration today is going to focus on how your team can leverage Affinity to keep track of different processes and workflows that you're managing in Excel or in other databases today. A couple examples that we'll go through would include your biz dev efforts, as well as any live mandates or engagements that your team is working on, A great place for you to store a list of all of your buyers or investors that you may want to approach when working on a fundraising deal or some sort of M&A, sell side or buy side activity. And helping you automatically and retroactively make sure that all the information is in one place. As I mentioned earlier, going back since the inception of your email accounts, so not just from the day that you become an Affinity customer and moving forward, but going back since your firm began and all of your employees started working there. Before we get into the demonstration, I did just want to quickly touch on the fact that we as a company recognize data security is of high priority for most organizations. And so therefore we take data security very seriously here at Affinity. We are not only GDPR compliant and CCPA compliant, but also SOC 2 Type 2 certified. And so working with several data providers, I've got a few of them listed here, among others, to help compile a very accurate and comprehensive database so that your team has all the information in one place. Now let's go ahead and get started. Before we do, I just wanted to briefly share with you all a case study that we did with one of our investment banking customers, Corporate Advisory Solutions. Before leveraging Affinity, they were tracking all of their contacts manually in a database. And in that database, they had just about 8,000 contacts over the course of their time doing business. On day one with Affinity, after connecting their emails and calendars, they found that that was actually a little less than half of their known universe. They had, in fact, interacted with over 17,000 people. So wanted to highlight this as a way that we provide value from day one to our customers by helping them uncover connections they may not even know that they had available. Now, this is just the main homepage when you first log in. And as you can see at the top here, the first section is our digital Rolodex of contacts and companies. We're going to dive into that in a moment, but just to better acquaint you with what else is here, we also have the second half of our platform, which is helping you keep track of your various workflows and different types of people or companies, such as your buyers lists. Again, we'll walk through some of those as examples, but just to begin with, I wanted to get into the people section, which is where our system has created a profile for every person that you and your team have interacted with in the past. And not just creating a profile for these people, but enriching all those profiles and compiling as much data as we can find about them automatically through our data partners. So we have things here like job title, location, and we can leverage this information to help us answer any sort of networking driven question. Now that people are starting to travel again, we may want to make sure that we are preparing ourselves for any trips and by booking as many meetings as we can ahead of time. So I'll simply come in here and tell the system what types of people I want to meet with and make sure that these are people that we have strong connections with, which is very unique to Affinity. As I mentioned earlier, not just creating these profiles and enriching them with more data, but also calculating the strength of relationships that we have with these people. Because I don't know everyone that's in Affinity. It is a combined database of all of our team's contacts, and therefore it's important for me to know how our team is connected to these people. If I'm going to meet with Marcia Han while I'm in town, I probably want to reach out to Paige before I do that and get an introduction from them. Also important to highlight this last email filter. Again, we're tracking all of your team's communications and when those emails and meetings are taking place. All right, so if I want to make sure that we've been in contact with these people fairly recently, I can do that. So now we've got a list of the 41 people we may want to reach out to, and we know how we can get introduced to all of those people if we personally don't already know them. Now, in addition to creating a profile for all of the people that your team is interacting with, we're also going to create profiles for the organizations that those people work for and enrich those profiles with as much data as we can find about them as well. So things like industry, location, right, EBITDA, etc., to make sure we have as much information in one place as possible. Now, if we're looking for a company of a certain size or maybe a certain investment stage that may be ready to get acquired, right, we can easily leverage that data to find the companies that meet that profile in our network. And again, understand how it is that we're connected to those organizations in the first place. Now, once you have identified who you want to talk to, maybe you have a meeting coming up tomorrow, you want to make sure that you're well prepared for that meeting. Affinity is going to be that central repository to store any and all information about the people and companies that we're talking to, not just who they are from a demographics perspective, but any of the deals that we're working on with them currently or in the past. And we can even see the detailed level, all of the interactions that have taken place between our team and this person. Any emails or meetings, again, are going to be logged for you automatically so that you don't have to. This is not only a huge time savings, but a great way to make sure that your team is in fact up to date with the latest information. So just a couple other things to highlight here in terms of our relationship with this person would include any introductions that they've made to us or that we've made to them, any notes that we have from our meetings, and doing things like @mentions to interact with and collaborate with our colleagues. After my meeting and entering my notes, I may also want to schedule a reminder to make sure that we follow up when we say we will, and upload any files that may be related. We will automatically detect any files that have been shared as attachments and make those available for you to upload and share with the rest of your team. All right, so far we've gone over the core of the Affinity platform, which is the automated contact management, creation, and augmentation for both people and companies that your team has interacted with. I want to switch gears a little bit now and move on to the second half of Affinity, which are lists. And this is where your team will spend the majority of their time, is focusing on the different workflows and business processes that you as a team are tracking. The first one I want to walk you guys through is a biz dev list of prospective and current clients. And what we're tracking on this list are all of those organizations from the moment we've identified them as a potential prospect through our process until they become a closed won client. And along the way, there's other information that we're going to want to track about each of these potential clients, right? Who's working on each of these deals, information about them, where we source this prospect from, etc. And make sure that everybody's getting the follow-up they deserve. Again, leveraging our automated contact and communication tracking to see who may need reaching out to if they've gone stale. We could even automate this process by creating a reminder for any company that's on this list to make sure that we can make contact with them once a month, as an example. Again, leveraging that communications data to help your team stay on top of their deals. Now, from this list, once we have a closed won client, the first thing we're going to want to do is identify which buyers we have in our network or that we have relationships established with to begin reaching out to on behalf of our client. Now, you'll notice here we've got some other information on this list specifically about these organizations that we know as buyers based on what types of deals they prefer and what sectors they focus on. And IEG, one of our customers, actually told us that they use this screen that I'm showing right now in their client pitches to demonstrate the strength of their networks to potential clients. So here we have the 14 organizations identified that we may want to go to market with this deal, and we can demonstrate to a potential client that we already have strong relationships established with these buyers, and that these relationship scores are being calculated automatically. So there is no cheating the system. There's no saying that you know people when you don't. If you in fact have a relationship with these buyers, Affinity will be picking it up and calculating it for you so that your team can leverage those to share externally as needed. Now, once we've narrowed down our search, we're simply going to select which of these organizations we want to begin our outreach for, and we'll go ahead and convert these to our outreach list. Affinity has been designed from the ground up to be very user intuitive and friendly, so customizing things based on the project name, for example, very easy to do. And then we'll go ahead and add this to our outreach list, where we're going to then start tracking all the various stages of our buyer outreach. So the example I'm walking you guys through today is an acquisition. So here we have our sell side list, and you'll notice that there are multiple projects that we're tracking on this list. So I'm going to go ahead and filter this to look at one client in particular to see where we are in our process for this client and our outreach. So here on this list, we're going to track not only who the buyer and the client are, but the status of each of these deals or each of these outreach efforts, right? What type of buyer they are, who's working on each of these, and the status of those deals, helping you keep track of all of those important milestones to make sure that you guys are following the appropriate timeline. Now, this is for our team to track internally, make sure that we're meeting all of our necessary milestones. But at the end of the day, we're going to want to be able to share this information with our client to get their feedback and share the updated status report of our progress. And we could set this up to be delivered on a weekly basis so that your client gets that status report automatically every Monday morning. Your team doesn't have to think about it. So just an overview dashboard here of how the progress is going for this engagement in particular, including a detailed update, likely very similar to what you have today, just in a nice, neat format, again, being automatically generated based on your team's progress. So just trying to take a few steps out of the process if possible. And the last example or list that I wanted to walk you all through today is a high-level master list of all of our existing engagements. Most of our customers are working on different types of transactions. Those engagements are all at different statuses, and they want to be able to build an overarching report of those engagements, as well as the fees associated with each of those engagements, so that they can ultimately get better insight on their business as to how their team is performing. So leveraging our Affinity analytics engine to not only generate reports for external reporting for our clients on the progress of our outreach, but also for our management team internally to help understand how things are going, where our engagements are in the process, how busy each of the bankers are on our team, etc. There's over 24 types of reports, including bar charts, line charts, pie graphs, mapping. You could even map the data if you wanted to. And again, you could have these scheduled to be delivered to your management team on a weekly or monthly basis. And that concludes our walkthrough today of Affinity's relationship intelligence platform as it pertains to investment banks. I want to thank everybody for attending, and we're going to be joining soon to help answer any questions that were submitted. So stay tuned. Thanks so much.